No one's gonna give a shit or listen to me unless I make money.
I first got introduced to Jason Wojo. I think it was a viral video where you described a gym rat that pulls up to the gym, pulls up in a Corolla, and this guy pulls up in a McClaren. You're right, bro. He pulled your girl in 2 fucking seconds. It was something that was sticky.
That video went so viral. It was actually insane. In a span of 2 weeks, we got 800 million views.
And this wasn't a one-off.
Is someone gonna sign me on as a marketer if I pull up in a Corolla or if I have a McClaren? Like, obviously, they're not gonna pick the person with the Corolla because it's not someone that they would trust.
Just like I wouldn't pick a doctor that drove a Corolla either. I want the doctor to drive a Ferrari.
But you're saying it even deeper. You have to make the money. It's not appearance.
Yeah, like an ambiance of a leader. Like, people want to be able to look at you and be like, hey, like, is this person a leader? Can I stand behind this person?
That's deep, biologic. Like, it's like warrior level. Like, you associate with men. You're like, all right, can I trust that this creature will lead me to betterment?
You can't change how people think. Once people turn 25 to 30, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks.
I'm saying, well, this is cool. So I'm just going to kick it off. You cool, Matt?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I think I first got introduced to Jason Wojo. He's got a longer last name that's Polish, but Wojo, you can't have a better last name than Wojo. And I feel like if your last name's Wojo, by the way, just going to say this right now, you got to do something with your life. I mean, you have an obligation if your name's Wojo to be some badass motherfucker. Like, do something funny or cool. And that was what first attracted me to him, actually, was I think it was a viral video that went out. And again, how it is displayed to me, which introduced me to you, I think was through, it may not have been the original video, but you may have been talking about it, but it was this video that I saw where you described a gym rat that pulls up to the gym, okay, jacked as fuck, gym rat, you know, these people, we all know him. I'm kind of like one of those guys, but he pulls up in a Corolla, okay, and it was something that was sticky, and I think your point was uniquely valid, and again, a lot of this content, let's be honest, like, we want to mix it up a little bit and be a little jarring sometimes, but this is what you do for a living. You help clients be seen. You build ad campaigns. You do ad spends. You try to get impact and visualization for whatever a person's mission or brand or company is out to the world. So, but that's what drew me to you was the gym content. Now, I'm a gym rat. I've always been one my whole life, but I remember pulling up in most of my young adult life as a kid and a piece of shit, but I had muscles. Yeah. But I knew there had to be more because this was not going to get me the life that I wanted, just obsessing over this gym. Like, I needed leverage, ownership. I needed real power in the marketplace, but start there. Let's just start here. I think it's a funny place to start because there's a lot of depth to you, a lot of knowledge, a lot of insight. You bring so much value to the marketplace, Jason. But just let's start with this video that did it go viral? Was that actually a viral concept, a video?
Yeah, so that video got our TikTok shut down.
No
so
way.
We got, in a span of 2 weeks, we got 800 million views across multiple platforms. That's right. Yeah, dude, that video went so viral. It was actually insane.
And like, we had down.
Yeah, we had over 80 something plus accounts duetting it. Bryce Hall, Joey Swole, Penguin Z, all these guys made these duet videos. And dude, those 3 guys alone got over 110 million views for us. And then Reddit got 80 million hits. And then all these other videos just stacked on top of each other. If you go on like TikTok, there's over like 400 plus videos there. Twitter has another 200 plus. YouTube has another 100 plus. Like, it all compiled. And
genius. Actually genius.
Yeah.
Genius.
And this wasn't a one-off for you. When was this video? This
was in March of last year, February.
Yeah. Wow, man.
Well, explain the video real quick for people that haven't seen it. Talk about it.
Yeah. So the basis of the video was me saying like, hey, you know, if you go to the gym and you make less than 10 grand a month, you know, you're pulling up in this like bullshit car, you're not successful, you're trying to figure your life out, and you're spending so much time in the gym. Like, I could easily, you know, take your girl. Like, that was the whole premise of the video. And it's funny because it's so polarizing.
It is.
And
it is, yeah.
Like, dude, people like really took it so to heart. And it's funny because I was on a podcast last night and the guy was like, yeah, man, like, you got to understand that the people who react to that are actually the people who are mad about it. Like, they're mad because they know that I'm right. And that's why it's so polarizing. It's like always two sides.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it could have been more professionally done because I am in the service industry. So like, you know, it looks a little weird, but at the same time, it's like what I did was so correlated. Also, I had the mic taped on my chest. It makes it look like I was a Dollar Tree kind of like setup. I did that all on purpose. And people were like in the comment section going, "Oh, he can't even afford a real mic." I'm like, dude, that was all done on purpose.
Dude, you want them to say that. That's the algorithm.
Yeah.
You're tapping right into the algorithm. The money of that algorithm, baby.
Yeah. The young men like you that are slaying it are far removed from any emotional attachment to how they appear online. They're it's money, huh? It's like a delightful game.
I love Jason Wojos. They're funny, man. But they get it. And what's cool is that we've got a sense of who this actual man is, and there's so much depth to him. He actually has a side that's really caring and loving, and he's bringing real value to the world. I mean, even you get a sense of a person when you talk to them. It doesn't take long, but I instantly, when I got to know Jason, even in those first conversations, like, oh, he's got a lot of depth. He's smart as fuck. Like he's not accidentally winning. He didn't stumble into a video and then he's winning all of a sudden. It's maybe some people do. I don't know, but that video was genius. It was super smart. All the things that make you want to hate him and all the things that make you comment are the things that are actually that he's orchestrating and you're playing right into his hand. Yeah. But it's true though. So if you drive a Corolla and this guy who's got no muscle,
it's such a good video that Eric wants to talk about it.
Skinny as fuck. Like I'm going to use it from the buff guy's perspective.
Yeah.
Pulls up in a McClaren. Like, you're right, bro. He pull your girl in 2 fucking seconds. I'll just say it.
Well,
I'm going to say it.
Yeah, you said something like right before we hit record on the show that I'll just jump to it now. Like on Eric's point, like, you know, when you were a kid, 10 to 18, no one listened to me, but you were reflecting on it in terms of like, but when you have money, like people listen to you. So elaborate. You just touched on that nerve. You didn't really unpack it, like, and it relates to this video. So what were you getting at when you brought that up?
So like, you know, when I was in middle school and high school, like I would want to be invited to the parties. Like I wanted to get to like talk to women and I wanted to do those things. And like, because I was, you know, not significant or I didn't have much going on outside the classroom, like no one really cared, right? Like I wasn't that person who was like a big jock. I wasn't the kid with the dad who owned a local business that made money. And like the crazy part is that when I saw those things, I eluded people wanting to like give me attention to the elaboration of, yo, you just have to provide to the marketplace and make money. Sure. And people will just intrinsically care because you know what happened in high school? Guess whose house was the place where all the parties were held? The dad who was making 7 figures a year and had that massive basement and everybody used to come over and they would all go to the, like, dude, all those things made me realize like no one's going to give a shit or listen to me unless I make money. Like, and how do I provide value to the marketplace in order to kind of control the narrative? So that's when I was like, you know, is someone gonna sign me on as a marketer if I pull up in a Corolla or if I have a McClaren? Like, obviously, they're not going to pick the person with the Corolla because it's not someone that they would trust.
Just like I wouldn't pick a doctor that drove a Corolla either. I want the doctor to drive a Ferrari. I just intrinsically, like if you had one decision to make and you knew no information, here's a doctor that gets out of a broken down Corolla. It looks like it's rusted and fucked up. And this is a guy that comes out of a Ferrari. You just naturally are going to.
But you're saying it even deeper. You have to make the money. It's not appearance. Like it's even like you actually
look at you.
But even if it was appearance,
that's true.
Yeah, like an ambiance of a leader. Like people want to be able to look at you and be like, hey, like, is this person a leader? Can I stand behind this person? Right. Like also, dude, regardless of what men and women think, yes, women look at men to protect and provide, but there's also guys who look at other guys to protect and provide for them. Like that's a real thing. And regardless,
that's deep biologic. Like it's like warrior level. Like you associate with men. You're like, all right, can I trust that this creature will lead me to betterment or not? Like, or not. And if you're around a weak man, there's a doctor, Eric, you'll love this guy, Dr. Sean O'Mara. He's like, you ever notice like a kid flubs a play, like a weak kid in a basketball game? He's like, watch your body. You turn away in disgust. You're like, you're like, because you're like, I don't want to be associated with that. And then someone just slays it. You want to kiss them. You want to like get close to them. This is deep.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
Winning. It's not. We're not talking like deep wisdom per se, but like it's
ancestral.
It's a real thing.
It's biological. Yeah. It's cool.
And the one thing I want to add to that real quick is like, and this is real deep shit. Is like, dude, when I was growing up, and I don't know if people realize this, like, I don't know if I mean, most people will say this, but like, I actually did not grow up in a rich household. Like, I think my combined household income was like $70,000 a year, right? So like, that's not a crazy amount of money. Dude, living on 70 grand, I would see like my parents come home and I lived in like a 1,400 square foot mobile home. Nothing insane, dude. Like an $80,000 home. Nothing crazy. And like living in that environment, seeing my parents come home and they were just like, yeah, like, fuck my boss. Like, he doesn't listen to anything I tell him. And like, you know, my mom would be like, hey, they don't let me have flexibility. They don't let me do this. Like, dude, everything that anybody under authority has ever received is feeling diminished. It's not being a leader. It's just this diminishing feeling of like, I can't say what I want to say. And the people, dude, and they still wind up listening to them anyway because they're dangled the carrot, dude, and it's life. Like, they're just dangled a carrot. And when I saw that shit too, and I was growing up, and I was like, yeah, dude, like, I want to be the boss, but I don't want to be an asshole about it. You know, like, I'm open to hearing people's suggestions. And dude, I get it. Like, when you're running, you know, like, my dad worked at Pfizer, which, you know, like, back then there was none of this, you know what, stuff about, you know, the V thing. But like, it's like, dude, they just like completely slaved him away, and they gave him a shit pension. And like, now he doesn't have enough money to live. Like, I was talking to my dad 2 months ago, and like, I helped him out with money and stuff, but like, he was like, yeah, man, we make about $5,000 a month part-time teaching, and our expenses are $7,500 a month. So I just pay the difference. So it's like, it's just like this weird thing. Like, how would you be satisfied though dealing with that? And throughout my life, I always reassure myself that that's not what I wanted for myself. And it's like, crazy thing too was in January, like, I booked this trip to go on this Ritz-Carlton yacht. And it's nothing insane, but like, it's still a very nice, like, whoa.
I've seen that thing. That's dope. It's really cool.
And it's called the Evrima. Right. And like, dude, the people on the boat are really like, dude, if you're an entrepreneur, you're listening to this and you want to actually meet high level people, just spend the money and go on the boat, because you're going to meet.
Grant Cardone did a mastermind, and he rented that yacht out for like a mastermind event. I think that he did. Yeah. The Ritz-Carlton. Yeah.
Like, dude, that boat, the people that you'll meet, like, for the week, it's 48 grand. So you got to imagine the quality of people who are able to go on the boat. I had to pay double occupancy. So I go to my dad. Like, if you are going on a boat, you pay double, because regardless if you go alone or not, you have to pay for two people. So I did that. And then I hit my dad up and I was like, hey, like, you know, come fly to Barbados. Like, I want to take you on this yacht. I think it'd be a good break for you. I sent him, and maybe I fucked up, but like, I sent him the link of the email because I needed him to put his passport number in. And dude, it attached the invoice to it on accident. And he saw it and he just said, no, I can't do it. Like, I like, it's just too expensive.
You can't understand it.
And my dad couldn't deal with the fact that the thing was too expensive. Like, even though he wasn't paying for it, that money block fucked with him so much that he wasn't even able to take it as a gift.
So good.
Which is insane, dude.
Yeah,
like, stuff like that always starstruck me. And I can't, like, at this point in my life, after running a business for 6 years, meanwhile, that's not a lot for most people who are bigger entrepreneurs in the space and like have been more longevity based. But dude, it's like, you can't change how people think. Once people turn 25 to 30, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. And I can't make my dad's mind change. I can't change the path of human nature. Like, that's just impossible, dude. My dad will never look at things through my lens. And even though parents will say, yeah, like, I'm just living through my child, that is the biggest bullshit excuse as to why your parents haven't done anything. And I know that there's people who are like, yo, my parents didn't do anything with their lives. I was successful. My parents don't do anything. And the parents always say that line. Oh, I just live intrinsically through my children. Bro, that is bullshit. That is not the truth. It is not the truth. You don't live intrinsically through another human being. You get inspired and motivated through another human being, but you don't live intrinsically through one. That's just ridiculous. And I feel like that's just a cover up. And when I saw these things growing up, dude, I was very like meticulous, and I was always soaking up like all this information in my mind. And I took it with me as I grew up and like got more successful. And I always blocked those things like from my path. And I always try to point them out in other people to try to help them. But like, sometimes it doesn't work that way. But yeah, dude, those are just things like trying to deeper into that topic. Like, those are all of the ramifications of like how I looked at that.
It's fascinating. Like, what caught, like, and you had this nature at a young age. You were tracking, observing this, and you had a willingness as a young man. It wasn't like some coach you hired gave you a bunch of willingness. You said something earlier right before the show about like, I'd always some quote about like the things you say yes to. Elaborate on that.
If you say yes to something, you say no to something else. So like, a lot of people do when they're 20 to 30, they'll say yes to like getting married and having kids and getting their first home and like, doing all this other stuff. But also they're saying no then to like their path and purpose potential, like all these other things that they could be building themselves up to if they just put their head down and work.
True. I agree.
Like, dude, it's better and dude, if there's women watching this, I'm letting you know this right now. With our age group, it's better to find a guy who's 26 to 30. Because here's the thing that's really interesting is that, like I still date, and a lot of women always ask me this question. They always say to me, hey, like, how many relationships have you been in? And I'm like, does that even matter? Like, why does that matter? Oh, well, those relationships didn't last long. I'm like, no, it's because I outgrew the relationship. Like, and a lot of women like to sit there and they're like, oh, well, I'm the dime, I'm the prize. Like, honestly, no, you're not. Like, you need to provide value to me too. Just because you're a woman doesn't mean that you're the prize.
Sure.
Like, what value do you provide? And I feel like women, if they're listening, like, you need to find a guy who's 26 to 30 who hasn't been in a lot of relationships, because you want to know why? It's because they don't have a lot of damage and baggage and all this crap. Like, they actually are able to sit in a room alone and work and be happy with who they are. That's who you need in your life, because they're going to be more clear-headed and make better choices. And they're probably going to be a lot more like, they're just going to be more like bonded with God too. They're more faithful. They don't have so much shit going on in their lives. So, but women always drag themselves towards like the player and all these like stupid things.
Right.
Like no one cares about that.
It's
dude.
so true.
And it's crazy.
Yeah. I get the sentiment of what you just said. I'm trying to think about my wife, and she met me before I had any money or had any influence or had any power. And to this day, I don't know if she saw any great value of where I may head. I just made her laugh a lot, but I'm very loyal to her because she's been with me through all my growth. And I've always accredited her value as she's allowed me to flex in the marketplace, and she never held me back. Somehow I always felt like she provided a stable foundation and a sanctuary that I could come home to and sort of lay it down my sword. And that, to me, that was so valuable. And she never brought drama into my life. She never brought stress into my life. So I did associate that value before I had value that was probably more than I deserved. But you're right. I somehow intrinsically, I tapped into where value was. And I've always been on this point. If you can't help me grow, if you don't provide a stable foundation for me to grow, you can't be in my life. My standards became high quick when entrepreneurship entered my life, and everything changed. But this is my little story, and in connection to your bigger point, because I think at first glance that could be jarring to some people, which is great for you. I mean, it's part of your shtick, and I love it. I mean, there's a lot of. He's going to give you so many clues how to make money in this space, and he said something earlier too. I got to just point it out that these older generations, that even people in general that have a bad relationship with money, especially older generations, in a sense, they don't understand the technology. They're never going to understand it. That is so true. Most people in your families will not understand you if you have these big dreams and you're willing to go pursue them and step into the light and tell your story. I was just talking to my buddy Jimmy Rex, who you may know, and Jimmy said his brother hasn't talked to him in 5 years. His brother apparently thinks he's arrogant, egotistical, thinks he's running a racket, all this stuff, right? And the truth is Jimmy's like, man, like it breaks his heart. He thinks he's helping people. He sees he's helping people. He's transforming men's lives. He's got over 400 people in his We Are the They program, which is like helping men like become their highest and best use human, right? Men need men to support each other. They go through a lot of dark demons, and there's no place for a man to. Point is this. Here's this guy living in his highest and best use, helping the world, stepping the light, and all the people you think that would support you the most, they actually turn on you. Their silence is deafening, and it's like a dagger to your heart. But then when those people actually proclaim that you're a piece of shit, when you think you're helping, it's like, point is this, he's never going to understand it because he's never going to do it himself. It's not in his cards. He's not in his pathway. You cannot convince him to do this. And that's been hard for me, is because I always see untapped potential in people that I try to exploit out of them. And you can't, people you just can't, they have to be willing to do it.
Jason's already, I mean, with your success, you've already got a fast track to confronting the truth, the humble truth about human nature, and being at peace about it, man. Like, like I have a question for you. So on this thread, like the topics we talked about are all the topics. Like if you looked at any psychological models, like early life, midlife, late life, the things that are on people's minds, and this bears out. I was a former therapist. If I'm a coach, if I'm sitting with someone 35 to 55, they talk about certain things. Someone 35 and under, you're talking about the big anchor things like relationship, or making money, or sick. I'm not diminishing that. Like you said, like these guys are frittering their time. Young people are frittering their time. They should really take care of first things first. So really, truly, like what is relationship or marriage to you? Because it's obviously your psyche it's on the tip of your tongue. You should value it. You probably aspire to have a beautiful long-term companion. I'm imagining. I don't know what your faith or philosophy is, but you also seem like a guy, just first glance, like you're philosophically inclined too, or you appear to be, and just the way you phrase things. Like what's your highest vision of that for your life?
I mean, the biggest thing for me is like, it has to be like a mutual partnership, and it's not like a business sense, but it's like and it's funny because people are like, oh, like marriage is 50-50. And I'm like, I don't really think that's the case. I feel like sometimes, man, you have to, like, as a guy, you have to step up, and maybe sometimes it's 80-20, or for her, it's 80-20. And like, there's that like variability of like what a relationship is. And I feel like I need to find somebody who understands entrepreneurship. Because if they don't understand that, then there's a lot of like conflict. Like, yes, dude, a woman can be massively loving, and they can try to get you at your bad times and your good times. But like, I need a partner who understands that my path and purpose will always be the most important thing to me.
Perfect.
Like, and that's the hardest thing to find, dude, is that like women get into marriage most of the time because they're trying to beat a clock. I don't know if anybody's ever saw this, but like women just sometimes get married because they just want to beat their biological clock.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
What women don't realize is, some of them do, but most don't realize that men operate on one clock and one clock only, and that's our financial clock. Like, where do we stand? How much do we provide? And like, where do we actually stand in the marketplace?
Different type of pressure.
And women need to be able to encompass the support behind the man to be able to help him achieve that. Like, you brought up a great word, Eric, which is the sanctuary. Like, I want to be able to come home and have that sanctuary too, where I know that there is peace and happiness when I walk in the door. I don't come home to hell.
No
right?
chores.
Like, that's not what I want. Yeah. So when a guy is out working all day, and even a woman too, they combine at the end of the day to complement each other. They don't come home at night to debate or to, like, also, dude, like, I don't want a woman who watches politics. Like, I don't want any of that shit in my life. I don't want a woman who watches TV. I don't want a woman who like just complains and just bullshits with her girlfriends. And like, I want her to be, very sanctuary to me, and just like, be the thing that I lean on when maybe I have rough times, or even when I have good times, like someone to maybe clap me on a little bit. Yeah. So I think it's that like give and take.
It's funny. For whatever reason, I keep getting steered towards relationships more. My content sort of just lately seems to be going that direction. I got a lot of men hitting me up, especially young men. Really some of the connection to that is how to be a high value man, how to attract women. So I'm getting, and then a lot of women are starting, especially older women that are maybe out of a first marriage, and they're a little bit older in life, and they're like, what do men want? Like, this question's starting to swarm around me. And I think it's because of some of the content that naturally started being produced. And I started answering some questions from my perspective. I'm not right, but I am a man, and I understand how men think. And I understand how high value men think. And you tapped into it. High value men are driven towards one thing, and that's their purpose. Now, you may connect God to that. You may connect their family to that. There's a lot of purpose where you can connect some really, what's the meaning of life? But a lot of that also is your ability to provide and protect. And you protect, like a high value man will fight to become valuable in the marketplace. And it is a high priority. A friend of mine, Garrett White, who's pretty well known, pretty famous dude, kind of the OG in the space, created Wake Up Warrior. He told me something really interesting. It's a little jarring, so forgive me, but he put it out there. But he says, a long time ago, I asked my wife, and he's got a powerful wife, by the way. I mean, they're a power couple. They both bring fucking crazy value. This woman's a beast herself. But he said something, and I thought beneath the surface, and how crazy is this? He said, I need my wife to do 3 things. And I told her this years ago, and if you can't do this, I can't be with you. He says, I need you to tell me I'm the man every day. That's the first thing. All you have to do is let me know I'm the fucking man every day. Number 2, I need you to touch me every day, non-sexually. You need to touch my shoulder every day, and you need to fuck me. Now, at first glance, this could sound crazy, but you want to know what men want, how simple we actually really are? We just want validation that you see us fighting in the marketplace. Now, these are high value men, but they're not complex. They're very simple. So many women will hold back those words of affirmation. They will not tell you what you need to hear most. When you need to hear it most, they will fucking hold it back, and they know what they're doing. Maybe intrinsically they know what they're doing, but they don't up here know what they're doing. But they know they will yield that power. Men need so little to feel validated. And the one person they want it from most, if they can't do it, it literally will eat your soul alive. So tell me I'm the man. Sounds crazy, right? Touch me non-sexually. I could speak to this all day. My heart rate's through my chest. I'm feeling pressure. I'm fucking overwhelmed. When my wife puts her hand on my shoulder, she doesn't have to say a word. My heart rate instantly declines. Do you know how much power she has in her touch? Men are so connected to physical touch. And that brings me to the third point. The connection that a man feels to a woman is different than how a woman uses sex to connect to a man. It's completely different. It's biological. And that a lot of men feel love through that connection. It's not one of my more dominating forces for me, but there's value in it, and women will hold it back. You want men to go wash the dishes, to do all these fucking chores. I get all that. That's how you receive love. I get it. Quality time, that's how you receive love. I get it. But when a man feels felt in the home, he's so much more eager to go want to make his wife happy and give her gifts, shower her with things. But if you come home to a toxic environment, a shitty attitude, a list of chores, and I see relationships where the man is speaking a completely different like language than the woman, like they both speak different languages. How do you get them to compete? Well, first you got to understand what men want. And again, this is super broad. Men are so different really, but also they're really simple. Point is they don't need a lot. And women are so different. They also need a lot of things. They need to be supported. This is two sides of the coin. I'm kind of speaking from the man's point. But can you speak to that? Because I think between the three of us, we could do 2 hours on this subject of what men want, what women want, how to thrive in a marriage. But you kind of went there first. So like, why are relationships failing so quickly? And you described what I would say is a power couple, a power relationship that you guys build together. You have build empires together. The Grant Cardone and Elena story, that's a powerful relationship. She made him a billionaire from my perspective. And she'll even claim that herself. But I don't know. I think this can open up a can of worms. So I wanted to set the tone for it, but go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, like the biggest thing too is just, when there are times in our lives where we feel like we're lost and we are fighting in the marketplace and like we're trying to find where we stand, we just need them to give us that reassurance. I feel like when you say men are simple, I feel like men just want reassurance that we're trying our best and we're doing our best. And it's like,
so good.
That's really it, dude. I mean, like, it's funny that you say that we're simple. Like, dude, we really are. Like, I'm not gonna, like, you know how like women plan for parties and it's this whole like thing. We're just like, yo, let's go to the bar and grab a beer. Like, that's how simple we are. And women obviously are just more creative. They take things to the next level. But like, that's a simple analogy for why I resonated with that so much.
And men don't notice things too. Women carry things in their brain that men don't know they're carrying. We're not mind readers, but like, I didn't see all that. Like, I'm so simple. I don't see anything. I can't notice anything. I'm just so simple. Ugh. Like, we're fucking dumb. The point is like, we want to rule the world. If it's a high value man, he wants to rule the world. He wants to grow to the fucking empire. He wants to give you everything. He wants to meet God. He wants to live a life with purpose. He wants to fucking impact. It's all I'm thinking about. I don't notice that Susie said this to me and like, oh, how did I not notice that? Like, or the things on the ground, or like that I left a sock out. Like, we don't notice, and you're not telling me about it, and you think that I know that you know, but I don't know. And then tomorrow morning, you're still on that. And even if we talked about it, like, oh, I'm good with it. Like, I already made my bed. We're good, right? You're still hung on to that. Like, these are problems that I see in relationships all the time. And this is more of this thing is like, men are such simple creatures. We don't notice shit. We're dumb as fuck. Yeah. But Matt, what do you got on this? Because this is coming from the therapist perspective over here, a licensed therapist who hasn't practiced in a minute, but this is your background.
Man. I love all of it. The thing I'm thinking in the background is two things. I've been married since 2005, so I've got 4 kids. I'll be 50 this year. And I think it depends on the level and the context, because we're talking like biology or psychology.
Sure.
2 thoughts. You're Jason, for our guests, you said, I had a mentor say, if you really want a healthy marriage, treat your marriage like a oneness, like it's a health. So yeah, you could do this, but what's the health of that's kind of like you like run it like an entrepreneur, run it like what's the health of the whole? I love all that.
Yeah, would it work as a business?
I do think there's a transcendent, and that's, would it work as a bit super practical, amazing advice, and so true. You don't get in like polarized, well, what do I get? What do I get? That's not the wrong thinking. What's the health of the whole?
There you go.
So people are willing to forego and go 80-20, like you were saying, Jason. And that bears out. There's a harmony to all that in my life. I think just personally, and I think Jordan Peterson does a good job at hitting on this thought, but like, I can't even explain to you guys the satisfaction and joy I get out of my marriage and my wife and what she is to me. I can't even, we're all scratching the biological pragmatic surface of it, but I think it transcends that and includes that. And for me, it's like a deeply, I don't know, it's like I'm trying to like know God or God's beauty or like really like love at a profound, like when I see like a 30-year marriage couple put a kid in the ground and you watch them walk back to their car together, that's marriage to me. You know what I mean? Like that, something about that moves me beyond, so it's like a matter of level and context. Like I'm on board with everything you guys are saying. It's so true. We're simple. Like if a couple can just not fight their nature, and that's a big, I think the Western world, like Jason, he's got young people sensibilities and he's got this old soul 1950s practicality.
Yeah,
you
right.
know, you're like,
that's money,
and that's why you're doing well, but
that's real money.
But yeah, man, like I think it'd be a tough landscape to be a young man in today's world, the way women are,
Honestly,
man, it really sucks dating right now. It
sucks. Yeah.
Like, I hear this
you're looking for a gem and you're looking like what you're having to contend with. I could hear it in your struggles and your voice. Like it's almost shocking that you have to explain this common sense practicality of what you're looking for. Like,
totally.
and you're almost nervous to say it. And I'm like, that tells me
I mean, dude, like common sense is not common anymore. And that's the biggest thing that I've started to realize is like, it is horrendous at how many times you have to say something to somebody over and over and over again. And it's kind of like when like we were kids, right? We were told, don't touch the oven. Don't put your hand on that. We did that shit anyway, right? Like but dude, there's people who are not 5 years old anymore who still don't have common sense. Like you would think after the age of 18, like you would have a little bit of sensibility. You know, I'm not saying you're going to be perfect, but like at least try, you know? But dude, there's people who are 40 who have zero common sense still. People who are 60 who still don't have common sense. And I'm like, how did you get to this point? Also, like dating right now, dude, is really tough. Like, because women are just, they do this play hard to get bullshit. They do this like psychological tricks with a dude. They do the texting games. Like, dude, it is toxic. Absolutely toxic. Yep. And it's honestly a shame, dude, because there's a lot of great women out there who, if they just gave themselves up to the man that they know that they wanted, they would be a lot happier. Yeah. They're just not happy. And they complain about men all the time. Oh, men are this, men are distracted, men are talking to multiple women. Dude, we're talking to multiple women sometimes because you're not giving us the thing to make us stop talking to other women. Like, you're not valuable enough for us to isolate you. So don't sit there and like make that claim. Also, like, women have options, just like guys have options, right? Like, we all have options if we're valuable. And like, women just, at the same time that men are trying to fight for the women that they want, sometimes women don't want to fight for the guy because they're like, oh, he needs me. He needs me. And it's this game, dude. It's like, I feel like I'm playing Monopoly sometimes when I'm going on dates, and I'm like, damn, this is ridiculous.
This conversation is so real. And more, I'm getting a sense of the real marketplace because I've dedicated this next chapter of my life to impact. And especially in my online community, I'm getting a lot of chatter here. And there's a lot of single people and a lot of failed relationships, a lot of single mothers, you know, bad failed marriages. And so I'm hearing it from all angles. And somehow people are looking at me as, at least in my own community, as someone they can lean on this. And I try to engage everyone I can because I feel obligated. They've invested in me. I'm committing to this, right? And so now I'm diving into this and I'm hearing you, out of all things you could have kind of naturally went to, you win here. And I think there's value in this conversation far beyond maybe anything, because don't we just want to get to the end and be happy and have just love around us in our life and fulfillment? And again, like, financial strength and security and financial freedom is very important. But if you can't sort of share your life with someone, that's hard. But I hear this over and over again. It is so hard to find high value in the marketplace. Women will say that and men will say that. And I'm looking at this whole thing like, well, for men, it's fucking easy, because I'll just speak for me. There's opportunity that swarms around me day and night, whether I want or not. And there's women knocking on my doors 24/7. And they're high value women too. The women that are knocking on my door is high value. Why is that? I'm in a committed relationship, so it doesn't matter. But the point is, I'm not dumb. I can recognize it. And it's not like they're hitting on me. It's just I have access to women at the deepest levels where their deepest fears are, their deepest insecurities are. And I now get it more than ever. I commit to other people's souls. I don't see sex or gender. I just bring value. And I leave the room with great energy, and I know when to fucking leave. And I never hit on women. It doesn't matter. I need to hit on women. It doesn't matter, but I'm not after anything. And what I'm realizing is the power that I fucking yield. If I could have had this at 25 with single, like I didn't know I had options at that age. I just kind of fell in love with a girl, and I got lucky, I think. Like, I didn't know. I spotted she was high, but I didn't know. Like, I wasn't high net worth. I didn't know anything. And I just feel like I got lucky. But knowing what I know, I have eyes to see that I have now, I would go dominate in any landscape. And it's because I understand what value looks like. I just want you to win. I want to help you get better at every stage of the game now. The more knowledge, carnal knowledge that you build up in different domains of your life, including relationships, this is what gives you power. Now, if you flex that in the marketplace and you build a brand around it, you could build an empire of authority around it, but you have to walk the talk, be the thing, be the body, be the voice, be the guy in the light, like all the shit. They just come to you like fireflies. Now, people are going to try to mimic this, and it's not going to happen overnight. But people come to you like fireflies. Ed Milet, I'm at a party with him, right? There's literally a line of 100 women all around him, a line of 100 men all around him. Everyone wants to be near him. Why is that? Like, you tapped into the question earlier. Why does high value always have people swarming around him? He could have his pick of the litter. Like, what is that? What does he do that the next guy is just not figuring out? I'm now getting a sense of this in real time, not bragging, and I don't give a fuck. I'm not trying to do that. And I think that's what it is. We don't try. We just are. There's a lot of power in this.
Dude, you literally just said the exact thing I was going to say. And it's like, men who swarm people like that, we're like, yeah, we're high value. But dude, I just think that we try a lot harder. Like, and it all comes down to effort. It's like a lot of guys will ask me, like, when we run our events, they come up to me at the end, they want to take pictures, and they're like, oh, dude, like, how'd you become this successful? I'm like, dude, didn't you not just see what I did for 2 days? Like, I pour into people.
Pour into people.
And number two is I'm just trying harder than you.
Yeah, I'm working
and
my ass off.
And you might sit there, and you're like, oh, well, I am trying, Jason. I have 2 jobs. And
so
I'm taking care of my mom. And I'm like, dude, that's not trying. That's working harder, not smarter.
That's it.
Like, you need to actually try and fuck all the beliefs that you've had originally.
Yeah.
Like, that is a lot of effort. And more so when I say try, I say change your belief system. Like, do it now while you're younger. So that you don't get screwed over as you're older and you have 2 kids and obligations and all this shit and health insurance and all these things that people don't think about. Right. Yeah. Like, they just don't want to think about these things because they're like, oh, I'll figure it out when I get there.
Sure.
And then time flies and they're fucked.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, it's just funny though. Like, I was lucky enough to be able to start earlier. I feel like that was my big advantage.
That's what I noticed in you.
Here's one thing I'll push back on both of you guys, just to be like Jason. He pushes things in his marketing, but so you and Eric both, like, I think you're talking about like relationship value, like to be valuable in the marketplace, and all that's true. But I think it's like, it caps out. It's like limited to me, just personally, to my ear. Like, it's like, how would I do it? Like Aristotle talks about friendships. There's transactional friendships that you're just transacting. Then he's like, there's mutually reciprocally valuable friendships. And those are better than just arbitrary transactional friendships. Like, they're more noble. Then he talks about the highest form of friendship, something altogether different. Because success, all the way back to Aristotle, wealth, success, power, why does it allow you to do it? It allows you to do 2 things. Contemplate the highest truths and virtues. It like clears the decks of the worldly needs so you could pursue a highest good. All that's to say, I believe really the heart of a beautiful, whether in a way I resonate with Eric, like I'm just grateful I met my wife and the timing I did, like, you know, like what did I didn't read a blog and then decide to do this, you know, but it's like, it's when 2 parties are mutually aligned with what they value most in life is so highly aligned, just like entrepreneurship, Jason, you're saying, if you run your marriage like a business does not succeed unless everybody involved knows what they're aiming at and they're all on board. Culture's on board. Everybody's like, this is it.
Sure.
Then it's like, there's no friction. There's happiness, challenge. Oh, no problem. We know what we're aiming at. So I think where young people struggle a lot, and where, as a former therapist and coach, where people will end a marriage, they get the value thing makes sense, but that only takes you so far. You meet someone, hey, they're responsible, they got money or influence. Great. That's valuable. Great. I'm valuable. I got boobs. I'm attractive. Great. I mean, it has like a whatever. Oh, it's nice to have companionship. That's great. But where they fail is when there's a divergence in alignment. Like, holy shit,
True.
I value this way more and you value that.
And people change.
No,
so
it's
you're
like,
right.
Like, it'd be cool. It'd be interesting. Like, Jason, how would you even answer? I don't even know how. I'm putting you on the spot. Like, what do you value most, man? Like, what do you like? Maybe your future bride's listening right now.
He already said it. Yeah. Passion and purpose.
I mean, dude, like, yeah,
he's
dude,
being
like
being it. Yeah.
Yeah, like the silence, the peace, and the reassurance are probably the three most important things that I like appreciate
in a woman.
Because, like, dude, we're around all this shit all day, and it's all noise, right? And like, we go to the whole day, we're on the road driving, people are honking, we watch. I mean, I don't watch the news, but like, everybody's doing shit. There's all this noise. Like, when I am looking for a partner, I want that thing to be the sanctuary of silence. Like, comfort me, give me affection when I need it, just be outgoing. Like, dude, it's so simple. Yeah. And I think, silence, peace, and like reassurance. Cause I know I'm doing a good job, but it's good to hear from somebody that I also am in love with. Totally. So it's like, that matters a ton. And I would rather take one of that than a million people on the internet. Yeah. Like, that is more important to me.
Like, my friend told me a story this week, and I was just down in San Diego speaking at a thing down there. And he said he had this big event, and he's got this billionaire client. It's a dear friend of his, and he's got the world by the ass. This guy has everything. Like, he's really high net worth human. And I'm trying to think of his name, was on stage. There was a guy on stage speaking, and he's sitting with his billionaire client watching this guy perform at his event. And it's a name we've all heard of. I just cannot think of it. But he points, he touches him on the shoulder. He goes, hey, you see that guy's wife? His wife was in the front row, and she's there just jumping up and down, clapping. And that's his wife. He goes, I would die to have my wife do that for me.
Who, the billionaire said that?
Yeah, the billionaire told it to my buddy, whose event it was. He goes, that's the shit that really matters in life. I would give up every cent, all the money, to have a partnership like that. And again, he's so far down the road. Like, there's just something to consider how much value there is in knowing that you have someone that's a cheerleader for you, that's rooting you on, that wants you to win. And I don't feel like a lot of guys get supported. And the reason this conversation is probably here right now, naturally, the universe has brought this conversation to the fray. And sort of not to push back on Matt, but the reality is so many young guys and so many women of all ages. I see it's just more young guys than men looking for high value women, trying to figure out how to be high value. And then it's more women, probably of more older ages, trying to find a high value man, saying there is none. I keep hearing that. And I think what I'm tapping into, my bigger point is,
what's happening?
Don't look for it. Just become so valuable. Find one thing that you're so fucking good at.
That's so good.
Pour into your craft, and they just will give to you.
It'll handle itself. Like,
exactly. That's
relationships. I mean, think how hard it is to manage your own self. Like, it's such a mystery, timing, adventure. It's just so out of your control.
It is.
Like, just
be a master at something, though.
And nobody's a master. Be clear about who you are. Like Jason's doing as a 26-year-old.
I agree.
You're slaying it, but the more you can communicate, which you already are very articulate, it's impressive. Like, I have 4 young sons, so I love meeting like just 20-something-year-old guys that are just, but who you are, what you stand for, what you're not into, what you are into, and just that clarity and success. You'll meet her. It'll come when you meet her.
You don't look. Just keep pouring your craft, and pretty soon, I mean, again, like, value knocks where value exists. And it doesn't start out as a woman looking for a man or women. That's what women don't understand. Men should do the knocking. I've heard a lot of women tell me that because I did a piece of content about this. And they said women should never pursue. And I was like, no, they do pursue, but they don't do it through thinking they're finding a man. They do it because their high value says they have an opportunity to give you. They have some piece of information they want to share with you. They're coming to you as a friend, as someone that has an equal value proposition. It never starts out as a lust thing. It's just value meeting value. And all of a sudden you start curating a friendship. And that's where the gold in a relationship exists. It's not in how someone looks, although it's good when those two things match up and you have a mutual attraction. It's just, you can tell, like, I have an attraction to someone that's there. Doesn't mean I want to marry her or love her or do anything bad, but I respect that she takes care of herself. She's on point. She looks good. She dresses well. Whatever the thing is, she smells good. Her voice is sexy. I can acknowledge that as another man and not have any want to do anything with that. Like, you know, I just recognize that. But if all of a sudden she starts curating real value and a natural friendship is born, it's not like she was looking for a man, but she's a high value woman. It's not like I was looking for a woman, but she's a high value woman. And that curation of that is where magic can happen for single people in the marketplace that have just become masters at their craft. If you become a master at your craft and you obsess over it, you're going to attract so many fucking people that want to be near you, period. End of story. You just attract them. But no one told me this when I was younger. No one curated the thoughts of high standards around having one clear focus, one clear mission. I didn't know this till I'm almost 40. I turned 40 this month. I'm dangerous. If I could give you the gifts of Eric's mindset now to a young 26-year-old, that 26-year-old, no matter what he looked like, he could look like Colton over here. He could look like you. He could look like a bodybuilder. He could look like Matt. Could be fat. Doesn't matter what you look like. You could become a master if you could adopt these principles and live and die by them, because they're universal and this is how you win. And winning, like, you just get good people to end your life. Good people want to end your life when you bring so much value to the marketplace. You get the most attractive people, the smartest people, the funniest people. You get the best. You can all the way up to whatever you deem as high value. And that's a whole different question. High value is different to different people. But most likely it means you're a master at your fucking craft. It means you're so good and you're so authentic and you're so real. Because I don't think you can be a master without being crazy as fuck, being obsessive. And those people are attracted to that. High value people love people that are obsessive. Like, we watch our favorite baseball player, right? You watch Kobe Bryant. Motherfucker's obsessive. He could have any woman on the planet. And that's just a figurative thing. You don't need to beat that up. You get the sentiment behind it. And I'm just saying it for the sake of this conversation. But the point is that's a person that is in love with passion. It's in love with what his point on earth is. He's not in love with women. You get my point? Like, that comes first. That's his priority.
He's pursuing a higher aim.
Yeah, it's his first love.
What's crazy too, like that I've seen for some of my friends growing up, is like when they don't see this instant gratification in their path and purpose and their income, they intrinsically move to finding love, because they're like, oh, well, I don't have it figured out. I'm going to find love first, then I can come back to this. Yeah. And I've seen that a lot too. And it's just like interesting. It's like people always ask me like, dude, why are you single? And I'm like, I'm not going to settle and just pick the best thing that, you know, like, just pick the first thing that like comes my way. It's just not the way that I think.
I was single.
He's doing it right.
I was 26 to 29. It was a long, patient. When I was your age, I remember I was going to wait, and I'm not going to, like, exactly like your position. And I deliberately didn't date beyond 2 or 3 dates because because like you said, Jason, earlier, which was wise, like, if you say yes to one thing, you're saying no to another thing. So if you, as a young man at your position, compromise your gut and your instincts and fritter 4 months of your time with someone, all your psyche, your energy, and
especially
time,
if you know,
you're really saying no to the true option that may have come about. So it's like a willingness to abide in silence for a while. I don't know.
Yeah, and it may make you look crude.
I think that's just science too. Like, it's kind of like animals in the wild. It's like sometimes animals are hungry, they go out and hunt, and sometimes they just stay in dormant. And it's the same thing with like men and women. Like, some seasons, women don't want to find a guy. Like, women just want to work on themselves. They want to hit the gym. They want to do all these things, right? And they want to find more friends, or they want to move somewhere. That's a big thing that I see too with women, is that when they can't find like a guy after failed attempts in a certain city, they'll just move. And I'm like, you're running from your problem. That's not going to solve your problem. Like, it's just not. And the same thing with dudes. Like, I'm not going to lie, man. I did the same thing 3 years ago. I moved because I couldn't find any relationship, because I wasn't making the money that I make now. I didn't have the purpose that I have now. And I was trying to figure out like, okay, well, maybe I'd be a lot stronger if I had a woman by my side.
Jason, you need to make like 3 viral reels on this topic. Like the woman getting on the woman who gets on the plane and moves, the whole thing. Cause dude. Like, it's so sticky. Just do your magic and do like 3 things.
Yeah. You know, but here's the cool thing is when we were 26 years old, there was no content that didn't really exist. Magazines were out, I guess, but we didn't have access to mindset so readily available. I would have died to have an Eric Rock in my life, just my own self. If I could have held the Eric Rock when I was 26's hand and reassured him about the value of standards and mission and purpose, and become really obsessive about just becoming valuable. Like, even though naturally my instincts maybe took me there, I was leveraging things from the pain from my past that got me winning at a relatively early age. I started winning in my 20s big, but like, I didn't have a voice in my head. Now there's all this access to it, some really valuable voices. Just go become a master at one thing. Like, just hearing that, like in knowing that that'll solve so many problems of yours is when you become so obsessive about
first things first,
your craft. And you're right. Like Pete, you were saying something that they'll jump to this when this doesn't, the delayed gratification, all that. People jump from carrot to carrot. They never really sink to their teeth in anything. They never really become good at anything. They're constantly wandering life. They're wasting so much time. That is such a common thing in the marketplace. And you wonder why dreams aren't easy to come true. Most people quit. They quit so fast. They quit. If you really adopt this principle, you'll have all kinds of high value people. Now I get to tell you that from a position where I see high value people everywhere I go. I actually don't deal with low value people. I don't even know who they are. The people I deal with are people that are willing to break something. They want to make a life change. They want to make an investment in themselves. I'll go to there. Or I'm in a room where everyone's pulling me up, but I don't seek out, there's no toxicity around me. I don't even, if there is, I don't see it because it doesn't enter my sphere of influence. I can't let it come and penetrate my energy bubble. And that's just knowing who I am, what I'm built for. I sense that in you. I sense that in Matt. There's different levels to all this, but that is the piece we look for in life, is knowing who the fuck we are. And that's where the real freedom comes from. And that's where really the power starts to build in your life. But again, you have to have an engine in your life. Maybe I'll shift gears here. Power and leverage. You described that in that video, basically, is what you're talking about. The Corolla versus the McClaren pulling up to the gym. Buff guy comes out, whoever gets out of the other car, doesn't even matter. That's power and leverage. That will win every time. And people don't understand how to get power and leverage. Why? They don't teach it in school. You have no concept of what power and leverage is. And that's just ownership. People don't understand they should be pursuing ownership. You figured this out at a young age because you're thriving now. You're doing countless sales, $122 million.
Give some context to what you own and you created.
Yeah, you've done a lot. So maybe we go here.
Like, what have you created? What do you own? And what are you running, Jason?
Yeah. So, I mean, the biggest thing that we run right now is Wojo Media, which is the, advertising company. We have 52 team members in like over 20 countries, and we have about 255 clients. And like, that was probably one of the hardest things to build because I had to lose my control problem that I had when I was first starting. I thought that I was the best at everything and like no one else could replicate what I could do. And like hiring and all those things, like that was a block that I had to get past. And then also we run Scale Your Ads, which is an event business that I run because I just replaced myself as CEO about 30 days ago. So I don't run Wojo Media anymore. I'm just owner. Yeah, dude. That was the hardest thing I ever had to do in my life. And then we run Scale Your Ads. Like we're doing 22 events in a row starting on the 9th of this month. Like I'm flying back today because I got to get all my slides done for the next 3 days. And then we're going on tour. So one event a week for 22 weeks straight. I'm just going balls to the wall.
Wow.
And
I feel that.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah. Dude, he's not looking for women.
20.
We'll watch him show up.
Just the what you say that again. 22 weeks.
Yeah, we're doing 22 events. So they're 2-day, dude, like the stuff that we're doing. And I love this conversation we're having, but I want to harp on one thing. Like there's a lot of people in the ad space. We are doing something that no one has ever done. Like you can go on Google, you can search it, you can find it. It hasn't fucking happened yet. And we're the only ever fucking marketing company to do an actual tour around advertising. And you know what the crazy part is that it's free. Okay. All the events are free. I fronted $430,000 on event spaces, fucking plane tickets, ad spend, payroll, all that shit front loaded with zero fucking money back. Zero.
Yeah, that's
I didn't
rare.
get a penny. And
where's the ROI coming from after that?
the ROI is going to come from number one, reach. And number two is we do have an offer for them to take, but we don't hard sell. We don't put these people in a corner. Like we just give them this invitation to work with us. And I funnel those clients into Wojo Media. So SYA and Scale Your Ads is a bolt-on to Wojo Media because here's what's going to happen. I'm going to run this business for the next 2 years, probably Scale Your Ads. And I'm going to run so many events to where we have so much data to where I can then go to a big marketer in the space and be like, hey, you want to buy this? Like I got 90,000 emails. I have all the proven SOPs for you to sell. You could just buy it from me. And maybe, 10, 15 million, just buy it off me. And they'll buy it because it's worth it. And that will be my exit. And then I will probably just keep the agency running. And then I'll take that, 10, 15 mil and go do something else with it. Because I just realized that my biggest skill set is just being a visionary and like knowing what I can bolt on to businesses and like how to grow them. So the whole scale your ads thing, dude, like no one's done it. Like they're free events. They come for 2 days. They get all the value, dude. I give everything out for free. Like it's actually insane. The shit that I teach them for those 2 days, from offers to ads to copy to video scripts to all the shit that I've ever learned in 5.5 years is fucking free. And the crazy part is that I give it out for free because I know they don't use it. And I know that sounds like so fucked up, but it's the truth. Like I will give it all out for free and no one does shit with it. Right? And they have to pay us and work with us to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Like I just put all the value up front. Also, we have a day 3. So like, dude, this is the shit that we're doing that's so insane. So they come for free for 2 days and then we offer them a package. And dude, we go rent this big ass villa. Like it ranges from price, but like these villas on Airbnb in these local cities, they're probably like $4,000 a day, $5,000 a day. They're massive fucking mansions. We do one day, day 3, where we put them in this mansion and we record their ads for them at a mansion. We do it fucking for them. So I hire a videographer, they go to the house and they record all their creatives like at that house. And like we're doing that as a part of the bonus. So it's like, hey, if you buy a package tomorrow, we're going to record your ads in person with a real life camera crew at a fucking 15,000 square foot villa, like the most expensive house in your city. And we just do it there. And like we're doing shit that no one has done. And it's like insane.
That's amazing.
Dude.
So for the listener out there, just bringing some value with this podcast right now, it's obviously you work with brands, you work with companies, trying to get them to grow, scale, get them closer to their dreams. What are the top 3 things that you would tell a brand or a founder to transform their brand, and especially towards I would assume towards content, towards online digital marketing, all this? What top 3?
Top 3. Number 1 is your offer. So like, what do you offer your ideal avatar in one sentence that's sexy, appealing, and irresistible? Because if you don't have an irresistible offer, it's hard to get your prospects to say yes for less reach and less ad spend, right? So that's the first thing. Second thing is your selling ecosystem. So like, yes, you might run ads, and yes, you might have affiliates, and yes, you might have referrals, but like, how does that all surround your prospect around the internet? Like, how do you share that data? So are you running an email list? Are you doing content? Are you doing podcasts? Are you doing like press for your Google presence? Are you doing all of these things? Are you running ads? Like, what does that ecosystem look like? Because you could have one avenue of traffic, but what if that avenue of traffic went to 0 tomorrow?
Yeah, I've seen that happen too.
Oh, it fucking happened, dude. I have business owners that we've worked with where they only run Facebook ads. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, sick, dude. What if Facebook bans you? You have no business.
Check this out.
And then it happens and they go to fucking 0. So like I've seen that so much. And then number 3 are their KPIs. Like what are the numbers in the business that dictate like revenue? Like what if I told somebody that for every $1 they spend, they got $3.23 back in 67 days? Like, what if I was able to tell them that based on their lifetime value and their average order values and their sales cycle and all of these numbers? They would be able to make better decisions. But business owners don't want to talk about their numbers because number 1 is they're most of the time really insecure about them because they don't fucking track them. And number 2 is that if they do track them, it's boring and they don't want to do the boring shit because the boring shit makes all the money. Like everybody in the entrepreneurship world is like, oh, content, all this. Like, dude, the content's fun, but editing it, posting it, and strategy is fucking boring. Like that's the boring stuff that actually makes the money and it makes the content go viral. Like, or the ad itself, like publishing the ad, that's fun. But having to call the leads and have the right systems and have the right email and SMS automations and have the right nurtures, that's the boring shit that actually makes money. And business owners are under this connotation that paid ads is going to save them. Like, dude, if your business sucks, paid ads ain't going to solve your problem. No. You got to solve everything else, which is your environment, your culture, your team. Like, what the hell is going on when people join your ecosystem? Those things are so important and everybody's so distracted because everybody's after the one thing. You're one funnel away. You're one course away. You're one this away. Like, dude, no, you're fucking not. You're like 22 failures away, 3 fucking bad relationships, 15 childhood traumas, and like probably a good 100, 200 grand of just lost money away. That's what you're really away. And like the marketing world and direct response makes you think that way. And it's just really sad, dude, because we have clients that really think like, and like we have good clients, but like, dude, there's still people who come into our ecosystem who are like, yeah, so I've been running ads for a week and I haven't made $1 million yet, or whatever their bullshit fallacy is that they really think is the truth. And I'm like, dude, do you not understand that if it was that easy, everyone would fucking do it? Like, do you not understand that? And people still don't get it, dude, because they had bad childhoods. Someone let them down. Someone fucked up their head. Whatever happened, dude. And it ruined their entire connotation around life. Dude, like someone fucked with you and you don't know why. And you don't know how to solve it or move past it. And it's like, I think too, people have a bad relationship with time and money. Like people won't spend money to buy back time, but they'll waste time to make money.
True.
It makes zero fucking sense. And like these weird belief systems that we need to like reverse engineer or refine or whatever that looks like. But it's just really sad to see things like that.
Yeah.
And like, dude, business is going to change this year. Like, you know, I'm not a big political person, but like this election is going to dictate a lot of shit in the entrepreneurship world for sure. I feel like this election is going to set the tone for who's a real business owner, who's not, who has money, who doesn't, like who's running something that's like really fucking structured and like organizational and like really has predictability and consistency, because like regardless of what we think or how we view the world, like, dude, we're either going to enter a world war or we're going to elect the wrong fucking person to be our leader.
Elections have consequences.
Like, dude, this is the only election I think that's actually mattered. Everything else before this, like, fuck all, doesn't matter. But, like, this is the one, dude. We have so much shit going on internationally and just debt-wise that we really need to start, like, grappling on to what the hell our belief system is and, like, where we're headed.
Yeah.
Like, student debt, all this shit. Like, it's going to compile, dude. It just is. And, yeah.
I would say this election, it may even go further than that, in that as far as defining business and redefining it. But it may set the tone for whether this is really a democracy republic or if it's actually a banana republic, and from my perspective. And that's a very scary thing to actually say, because you look at the history of the world and this has been done before. You know, you've seen, you know, free societies turn into banana republics, turn into socialist countries, turn into communists. And it's a very downward spiral from there. And again, like the top 1%, top 5%, let's just say they control 95% of the money. Very powerful 5 to 1% up there that are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And we become a renter nation. And it's because they're squeezing the middle class and they're about to suffocate the life out of it. And you just being aware of this is important. It doesn't mean you need to hang on. You can still control your own economy. You don't need to ruin your life. You know, I'm a firm believer that a little knowledge is powerful, but too much may absorb you into a world that does more harm than good. But I do like your 3 points. Your offer's got to be sexy. It's got to be brilliant. It's got to suck you in. You need an ecosystem, as you called it. I always call it a foundation. You need a foundation to support the growth. And I'll speak to that real quick. I have a client right now who gained a lot of fame. He did really well in the fat loss space. I'm helping him rebrand his company right now, because he had all his eggs in one basket, as you described. And I want to just point out how true it is what you said. Facebook changed their algorithm and his fucking business died. It got decimated. He went from 250,000 sales a month down to he's holding on to like 10, 20 right now, barely surviving. He fired all his employees just because he made all his money on ad spend in Facebook. And he didn't know what to do. And it catastrophically catapulted, because fat loss all of a sudden became something they banned, basically. Banned all the ads, and now they actually banned his account on Facebook and Instagram. You know, very well-known guy too, did something really profound in his market, in his space. And then those KPIs, incredibly important to know your numbers. Very well said, man. It came out like butter. So I felt like you've done this many times. Which I'm sure you have.
You must do events.
Yeah. It's good though, bro. It's really good, man. Yeah. You could teach a lot of people a lot of things. I don't know where we're on time here, you guys. Just want to make sure I'm checking the clock here, because
we should.
I could talk to this guy forever. He's kind of that kind of guy.
Yeah, man, your events are sticky sounding. That it's a no brainer on the value.
And dude, you know what's crazy? Just to add to that, we get about 600 signups per event, and 150 people show up.
Yeah, people don't show up. Yeah,
it's like it's free, but people know that there's something to be sold there. And they're scared to be sold. Like, dude, if you're scared to be sold, how the fuck are you going to sell other people?
Yeah.
That's a good point.
That means you don't believe in yourself. Like, don't sit there for people watching who are like, oh, like all these guys online, they're just trying to sell something. Like, dude, everybody is selling something. No shit. Right? Like, It's crazy, dude.
Speak
like that's
to that.
how the world moves.
Maybe we could
called capitalism.
Maybe we could close on that, Jason, when you said earlier, like you're fascinated by the human nature tendency to avoid obligations that are good for you, like your sticky tagline on the invoice thing. Like maybe bring us home with that thought. And it's not only sticky, but there's a deep truth to that if people can get past that obstacle.
Yeah. Like, dude, people know what's good for them. They just won't say yes because they're scared to change because they feel like they're going to lose their identity of what they've encompassed for years, right? Mm-hmm. And like the other thing too is like they're so wrapped into their money. Like people legit in our niche or even people who are just starting out, they look at their bank account all the time. Like they're always looking at it and they like wrap their identity in how much money they have. Like, dude, money's not this thing that's an identity. It's just a tool to get more or to solve your problems and find better solutions. Like, it's not about that. And when you put something in front of somebody, like, you know, like you were a therapist, you're like, hey, I'll help you solve your marriage for $4,000 for 4 weeks or whatever that looks like, right? Like, dude, if you're not willing to spend $4,000 to save your marriage, that means the marriage wasn't fucking important in the first place.
Yeah.
Like you just got married because you both were physically attracted to each other and you were like, fuck it, we have no options. Might as well get married.
Yeah.
And like, we didn't have the right morals and values that aligned. And it's crazy, dude. It's the same thing with entrepreneurship. People know, and it's funny, dude. People are sitting there going, they go in their Instagram bio and they put entrepreneur on it. And they're not fucking entrepreneurs, dude. They're just bullshitters. And it's like, that's sort of the content that I make where it's like, dude, you have to like do something about your situation or represent the name correctly because you're honestly making it a bad name when you come into the space and you say you're an entrepreneur and you completely drop the ball on half the shit that it is entailed to become an entrepreneur. Yeah. You're ruining it for fucking everybody because now everybody's an entrepreneur. You knit at home, you're a fucking entrepreneur. You make a Shopify store for $1, you're an entrepreneur. Like, no, you are not. You are an ass clown. And it's so annoying, dude, because it ruins it for everybody else. Like, it's irritating. And then, you know, like, obviously there's people who are going to comment on that and be like, oh, well, like, what do you know? Like, dude, it's not about what I know or what I don't know. It's about the fact that, like, you're ruining the name for everybody else. Like, it's an actual honor to wear that fucking badge. Like, we went against everything else that that life put on us in school and the system and all this shit put on us. And it's like, people are just scared, too, to invest in themselves because it's a self-belief issue. It's not about the price half the time. Like, you could give someone the price of something and, like, yeah, they might quirk at it. But, dude, the belief is actually the issue. There was something that happened in their childhood to where they were told, like, you know, you're not valuable or no, you're not worth it. To be able to look at something like that and be like, wow, I can afford $4,000. I can spend the money on it. And it's like, dude, I was talking to a business owner yesterday, and this is, like, a lot of the shit that happens in our niche. This guy gets on a call with us and he said he was making $250,000 a month. And I'm like, okay, like you're a valid business owner. You've got that proof of concept. Like you should be able to scale. You have the funds. And we're like, yeah, man, it's $6,000 a month. He's like, whoa, that's a lot. And I was like, bro, what are you fucking talking about? You're making $250,000 a month and I'm giving you a 3% marketing budget and you're bitching about that?
Yeah. Totally.
So I'm like, dude, you're either lying to me or you break even or lose money. And he didn't want to answer that question. And I was like, dude, most people out here are just straight full of shit. And I'm tired of it.
What if he would have told you the truth that he's breaking even or losing money every month?
I mean, then I would have probably
said, I'm just not doing good,
like,
man.
Why?
Yeah,
like,
right.
Why? And how can we solve that?
Right.
If I don't know your problems, we can't provide you a fucking solution. I'm not a mind reader. So it's like, dude, people are just willing to say that shit just to look cool.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, the greatest barrier. It's real uncomfortable. It's all their survival issues wrapped up in it all, and shame, and yeah. If you could know how to sell to human nature, like your mind seems that, which makes you such a great marketer. You respect. Marketer. Yeah, your instincts are so good. Not only entrepreneurial business instincts, but your marketing instincts. It all reminds me in a book I read. It's called Success is for You. But the author was like, basically there's one client and it's human nature, and just serve it, know how to sell to it, know how to give it a product. And I love your human nature instincts, Jason. Yeah, man, this is great.
Yeah, it was cool interview, man.
Appreciate your time.
We got to do a part 2 when you come to Coeur d'Alene, man.
Yeah, are you in the Northwest with one of your events?
The most northwest I'm gonna be is like Austin, Dallas.
Okay. So where are your events? Just real quick, geographically, the swap.
They are. So I have it pinned to my Instagram.
I saw that pinned. It's up there. Okay.
So it's Tampa, then Miami, and then Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, Orlando, Jacksonville, Atlanta, Austin, Dallas, New York, and then we do the circle again: Tampa, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm, Orlando.
So you're
Jacksonville,
bringing people
Atlanta,
in
Austin.
too. You're bringing people from in market and geographically out of market, both.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So like, we run ads in every single city that's on that in a 25-mile radius. And then we just run the ads to each landing page. Each landing page is its own city. Like, dude, it was so much work to build all that out.
That's
like,
amazing.
holy shit.
What type
we're running all the cities at once. All 22 are running at once right now.
Crazy,
it's
bro.
fucking nuts.
Yeah, that's a lot to manage. What type of clients do you deal with?
The local business owner?
It's mostly high ticket services, coaches, consultants, service providers, local businesses, and then also e-commerce stores. So Shopify, WooCommerce, Squarespace, WordPress.
So you do deal with high ticket consultant, coaches, service provider. Yeah. Oh, cool. Sweet,
awesome,
man.
Brother. Yeah.
I'm gonna be engaging your content, man. You're sharp. Thanks for joining us, Jason.
Yeah, this is cool.
Yeah.
So remind us one last time. Where do we want to send people to follow you, follow your journey, follow your story, invest in you, whatever they want to do?
Yeah, biggest place is Instagram. So at the Jason Wojo. If you want to work with us or book a demo, it's completely free. Just go to the link in my bio and you could book a demo call with us. Or if you just want to follow my content, just shoot me a follow on Instagram. And we're also on TikTok. We're on LinkedIn. We're on YouTube. Just search Jason Wojo. You'll be able to find the content. But yeah, follow the journey.
Brother. Yeah, keep attracting those high value women,
man.
brother.
Thanks, Jason.
All right, guys.
Take care, man.
See you soon, bro.
Yeah, see ya.